Hello, my name is Professor Charles Moyoana. I'm an author, and today I have been trying to interest you where I'm making this presentation. It's from a very beautiful Orange Lake Resort in a beautiful city of Orlando, Florida. It is beautiful. Outside, it's even more beautiful. Now, I have been trying to impress upon you some of the works I have written across the years, and most importantly, works to do with the law. And I want to end on the issues of the law with PASS. Now, some of you who live in jurisdictions where paralegals and legal knowledge has been marketed and be secularized as well as popularized in a term that is popularly known as access to justice. That concept, understandably, is probably on the cutting edge now, because as you know, access to a lawyer, whether you are in a third world country or developed country, is very expensive. So what I've done is I joined the league of those that are promoting access to justice a long time ago, probably 10 years ago. I have been like one of the pioneers in the academic and other fields, especially also in writing. In 2017, I wrote the first PASS, acing the Ontario Paralegal Licensing Exam. That's how I named it. That was on a cutting edge too, because at that time they were not seeing a single book that could help a person who doesn't know what law is from the beginning to understanding and to ace a licensing exam. Lawyers in the past used to learn by apprenticeship. Recently, lawyers must learn by going to class and passing licensing exams. So it's imperative nowadays that knowledge of the law must be had first by way of academia, education, and then by some sort of internship or partnership with a lawyer or somebody that you can learn in the process. That happens, but not very frequently unless it is part of an academic process. So if you live in Ontario, first of all, the PASS is there available for you on Amazon or Barnes & Noble, wherever books are sold. In Canada recently, you'll find it also in Chapters and Indigo. Why PASS? I deal with 4 major areas that appear on licensing exams, in legal licensing exams: civil law, criminal law, and quasi-criminal law. I also deal with administrative law, as well as issues that deal with jurisdiction and court systems. Now, I have labored very hard to not only write the PASS. The PASS is the signature book, because in the original PASS, this one, version number 1, I provided answers only in another separate book. Sometimes I change that on the way to assist the students and candidates. What I've done here is I have provided the questions and I provide the answers at the end of the book. But I haven't just done that. I've written another book known as Preparation Notes and Tips. The state of mind, the preparations that goes on before one takes the licensing exam is as important as the exam itself. So in this other one, I deal with all the preparation one needs to do before they take a legal exam. And these are details that you cannot find anywhere else. I am aware, because I was the pioneer of writing these types of books, that others are trying to write them as well, but they will not have the knowledge as important as this, because every or majority of those that have used my tips have gone to ace, to pass the licensing exam. I have written another book. It's called Civil Litigation Question and Answers. It's quite hefty, and this one is loaded with all the questions you can find or majority, probably 90% of the question types you find in a licensing exam on civil law. When you get this book, you also get answers to the questions that have been asked. So you understand civil law even before you go to take the licensing exam. You'll be able to ace it within no time. I've also written one on ethics and professional responsibility. This one, understandably, was the first type of questions that used to be tested on legal students. Ethics, the right and wrong issues of the practice of law. And I have labored very hard to prepare a very thorough and comprehensive book. So if you go to Barnes & Noble, or if you go to Amazon, you'll be able to get this book as well. I have also written a book on criminal law. This book also is available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. It's the same thing. When you buy these books, you are able to understand the questions, and the answers are within the books. All these 3-4 books, now 5, they all have answers at the end of the book, so you do not need to go to another source in order to understand the questions and the answers. I've also written another book, which is the framework from ethics and professional responsibility, but in a more nuanced way. And the reason I did this, why you may find 2 books on ethics and professional responsibility, it's because this is the area in which if you fail, probably you've also failed in the licensing exam. It is assumed, I hope, that just the knowledge of civil litigation and civil law, criminal law, quasi-criminal law, administrative law, adjudication as well as jurisdictional matters is not enough if you are failing to abide by important ethics in the protection of the rights of your client. You must understand that you serve your client at the leisure of public interest. So you are not going there to deal with their money, their names, their information the way you want to do. That's why ethics is at the cutting. Their confidentiality, their matters that relate to them personally are important aspect. You don't just want to win cases, you must protect the character, the privacy, and any other issues around your clients. That's why you find that I've also, in tandem with that very tradition, laid very much stress on various aspects of ethics. Now, for beginners, especially if you live in Canada, this book is known as Basic Canadian Law in Point Form. Now, as I have been writing books and also being a professor of law in Canada, I've observed that note taking and note writing are important aspects of understanding of the law. Content in form of abstractions and as well as point forms assist students quite well, better than if they have to read the entire passage. That's because law is made up of both principles and application of those principles. So this book is very useful, probably the most useful book, because it has all the aspects that are in legal litigation and civil litigation, in criminal law, quasi-criminal law, administrative law, various other principles, and as well as in jurisdiction. So if you buy this book from wherever you are, even if you are not in Canada, as long as you have got a British background to the law that formulates the central corpus of the law in your country, this is your book, and it's also available on Barnes & Noble, Amazon, and wherever books are sold. In Canada, it's also available in Indigo as well as in chapters. Now, I wrote a book known as Law and Grace. So this is an intersection between the law of God and the law of man. And the reason why I introduce it among the many corpus of the legal books that I've written, it's because when you read this little book, it's not little actually, it's big, because it's about 300 pages or close to 300 pages, so it's not quite a small book. What I try to do is to explain and make clear the intersection between the law of God and the law of man. I believe that that is the best way to give gravitas to the idea of law. I have argued it from the Christian perspective, but you can also transpose that into any other religious aspect. But in common law, the law that we inherited from England, we have borrowed a lot from the Bible. And the Bible also must be grateful that we have not just borrowed enough from it, but its principles are vetted, they have stood the test of time, and therefore they can be trusted even in the applicability of the law in general. So if you go to Amazon, you go to Barnes & Noble, you'll be able to find Professor Charles MWEWA'S books on law. These will be very useful to you, to your class if you're a professor of law, to a claimant if you are making refugee claims in Canada or in any other Commonwealth country. It will be very helpful to you. I hope that you will look for my books and you will be able to make the best of your predicament or situation so that it can help you and in the long run help those that you love the most.